Well, it seems the European Union admitting complete and total defeat when it comes to actually stopping illegal migration. This at a time where you saw in 2023, for instance, irregular migration is the sort of politically correct brigade describe it. This is illegal migration we're talking about here. That almost doubled in Spain, 57,000 people entering Spain illegally last year. More broadly, you've got the EU border agency Frontex there, recording 380,000 people arriving in the EU in 2023 illegally, 17% more compared to the previous year, the highest level since 2016. Just look at what the head of the EU border agency is actually saying, basically admitting defeat here. This is the head of Frontex now saying stopping illegal migration is impossible at a time when you've seen this increase at 10 times in terms of illegal migration from Western Africa to the EU. And you see the quote here from the Frontex boss, admitting there they can't cope with unmanaged migration to Europe, but to stop it seems very difficult, not to say impossible. Well, isn't this kind of their job? But the EU Commission, of course, backing that chief of the EU border force of Frontex. You actually had an MEP there writing to the European Commission asking whether they believe this chap was actually still suitable for the job on the back of those comments. The quote there from the MEP, the director's statements may well reflect his values and beliefs, but they stand in stark contrast to his basic task of protecting Europe's borders against illegal crossings and crime. And saying that years ago when we set up Frontex, we did not imagine that it could be led by someone who is convinced that there is no tool to deter migrants from crossing the borders illegally. Meanwhile, the former head of Frontex, of the EU border agency, is actually standing for Marine Le Pen's party in the European elections. He led the EU border agency from 2015 to 2022. And meanwhile, you've seen the EU migration pact being backed. And when you look into what that means, there's this asylum and migration management regulation, which is going to mean mandatory solidarity that basically offers countries three options. This is a complete power grab in terms of the EU when it comes to migration policy with countries inside the EU. So governments will have to either relocate a certain number of people or pay 20,000 euros, basically a fine, for each person they refuse to relocate in their country, or they have to offer other finance operational support. Now that was actually backed, but what you're seeing from MEPs now, a backlash against this, saying that countries in the EU effectively are going to be losing control over their policy on this. You're going to see these fines if governments refuse to take people in. And you've even got the likes of Donald Tusk there saying that he's actually going to try and protect Poland against this. However, he does not have a veto on this. You've got the Hungarian Prime Minister there, Viktor Orban, also saying this is another nail in the coffin of the EU. That unity is dead, secure borders are no more. Yeah, clearly a number of countries not very happy with this. There it seems even the EU border agency admitting defeat underlines for me once again why the UK needs to leave the ECHR and be taking a far tougher approach on this. Take boats back to France, revoke French fishing licenses for every boat they fail to stop crossing, and not get caught up in this ridiculous EU system. The Labour have hinted they're very much up for doing. Let me know what you make of all that in the comments below though, please guys. I will of course keep bringing you all the latest on this and more. So please do whack this video a quick thumbs up, and of course as ever, cheers for watching.